Well, apparently the Atari 2600 Plus is now a thing. Atari just dropped this on their website this morning and of course blasting it out all over social. This is a new console that hooks up to your TV via HDMI to play some old games. And I have a little bit of information and I have a whole lot of questions. We're gonna jump into that right after this. This video supported in part by...
Playing VR, I tend to sweat. It gives me an edge. So King of Nerds happens to give me an edge too. Let King of Nerds give you the edge. Bye, King of Nerds.
Hey there, welcome back to GenXGrownUp. I am John and I am a GenXGrownUp and I'm here right now to talk to you about the Atari 2600 Plus console just announced on Atari's website. When I say just, I mean hours ago. As I record this, it was like 3 or 4 hours ago they dropped it. And look, we know that Atari was working on some stuff and some hardware was included with that stuff. Didn't know it was going to be kind of a reboot of the 2600. No, not a reboot, like a reimagining if we look at how movies look at other IP in the past. So here's what we know so far. So from looking on the website, and I'll show the images here as we talk. So the 2600 Plus is compatible with, almost, we'll get to that compatibility, with 2600 and Atari 7800 games, which tells me that at its core, it's actually an Atari 7800 with backward compatibility. Okay. It has HDMI output. It has switchable aspect ratio between 16:9 and 4:3. And it includes a single joystick, which they're calling the CX40 Plus. Just because you gotta. I don't know what different might be about it versus a CX40. It looks identical. As well as a 10-in-1 game cartridge that has some stuff and Yars Revenge. Well, Missile Command is on there. That's not fair. There's a lot of older stuff on there, but also I saw Yars and Missile Command, and it looks like it's not like a menu-driven cartridge. Even on the front of it, you can see it has dip switch settings. So actually all the ROMs are embedded and you switch between them by switching banks kind of thing at the time of boot up, which I get, makes sense, that's cool. So this whole shebang is gonna run you, if you want one, $130. Now it's slated to release in mid-November. Pre-orders are up right now. And that would be the end of the story if we were not inquisitive Atari collectors and enthusiasts, which we are. So this opens the door to a lot of questions. The first one, talking about compatibility. Now, I said this plays 2600 and 7800 games. And something that makes me wonder, okay, what's inside there? What are the guts? Is this like just a re-engineered 7800 board or... But here's the thing, you can download a PDF compatibility chart. And if you look at it, there's a bunch of stuff that's untested, which could have been tested should they have opened this up to... I don't know, they'd have to give the hardware out to open this up for people to test it. They probably don't want that to leak. About 2/3, I would say, of the cartridges on the list are tested and show compatible. There are 3 I noted that showed fail. Super Cobra, that's too bad. Not a great game, but it's people love Super Cobra. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and look at this, an Atari published game, RealSports Boxing. So, if Atari games don't work on it, you gotta wonder, well, if it worked on a real 2600, that tells you it's not a real 2600 inside. By real, I mean keeping the same chipset. So that means there's some kind of interpolation going on, some kind of emulation or simulation going on. Otherwise, it would be fully compatible. Unless, I don't know or understand for sure, but unless it's actually more of a, like I said, a 7800 guts inside, and maybe those games didn't work on a 2600 in the first place. I don't know. Somebody with a 7800 and some of those games maybe can let us know down in the description. On the topic of compatibility, so here's the thing. What about, and the thing everybody's asking, what about homebrew games? How's that going to work? Because there are a lot of bank-switched homebrew games that don't work on non-genuine Atari hardware, by which I mean authentic Atari 2600 consoles. It doesn't work in the Retron 77, which, okay, but for whatever reason, that's fine. Like you play the ROMs, but you can't put the cartridges in. The other gotcha, I always wondered why these $1,000 worth of Atari XP cartridges in there that don't work in a Retron. I wonder, is it going to work in this 2600 Plus? What a black eye it would be to buy $1,000 worth of reissued cartridges and then plug them into this reissued console and they don't work. Look, I gotta think that Atari thought about that and tested these. If they didn't, they'd better do it between now and the release, because the backlash over like selling $1,000 worth of old games and then releasing a console that won't play them, that's not a good look. So I gotta think they've tested that there at some point. Okay, finally, before we get out of this, I know it's all just speculation here in large part. Extra stuff they're offering. In addition to, I should say there's just one joystick. You can buy a second joystick for 25 bucks. So now you're from 130 up to 155 if you want two joysticks. Doesn't come with paddles, but they are selling a set of paddles with another multi-cart. So it's a 4-in-1 paddle cartridge. So for, I think it's $40, you can get a set of paddles and this 4-in-1 cartridge. Now, if you have a set of paddles, I don't think you'd need to buy these paddles and those 4 games. I don't know. I don't necessarily think you need to. And the reason I say that is because they've already established that the 9-pin plug on this 2600 Plus is compatible with older controllers. So if you've got a 2600 beating around and you've got an old CX40, or you've got an Epix 500 XJ, or if you got a Slick Stick, or you got a Sega controller, anything that worked with the 2600 will ostensibly work with this 2600 Plus, controller-wise. There's not a compatibility chart for that, but I mean, it's 5-volt pins. It shouldn't be rocket surgery? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to keep an eye on this, obviously. I was very excited and curious about it, being an Atari nerd. This is not another plug and play. As far as I know, no SD slot. I couldn't see anything on there, which makes sense. Look, why would they shoot themselves in the foot and sell an emulation box and not make you buy cartridges? Anyway, is the firmware updatable? Can it be flashed and updated or anything like that? Those are things we just don't know yet. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. Obviously, we're going to be getting one here at GenXGrownUp to review as soon as it's possible. I don't know that we can get it ahead of November, but as soon as we can get it, we're going to bring it to you. So what questions does this raise for you? How do you see this as an offset to all the plug and plays that we are seeing in the market that have the games baked in versus this one that you have to bring your own games, which if you're a collector of physical media, this could be really awesome. More questions that I have answers right now. Definitely want to share the information with you in case you haven't seen it anywhere else yet. Thank you so much for stopping in to check out this quick news update. I'll throw links over my shoulders here and here. Those will be links to other coverage of this product when it's available. In the meantime, it'll be other Atari stuff. So thanks so much for stopping in and checking this out. I can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.